Right, it's recording there. Um, now, um, I'm even though we're on Zoom, I'm not going to record to Zoom because I don't like the freaking thing. It's a load of horse's ass. But before I get off on my rant, I've already pre-recorded some stuff, and I'm going to unleash this on you now. I'm going to give you a brief introduction of myself by way of a video. All right? Sit back and enjoy. Well, folks, what an entrance. Okay. Always one for a bit of a laugh, as they say. So, this is just a brief introductory video of myself and who I am, where I came from, what I'm going to do. And by way of introduction, I will be using, obviously, a lot of technology, technology being my background. So I'm going to have a bit of fun and games over the next 12 weeks. So I'm Professor Mark Cashin, also known to my friends as Mark, and I'm just over 60 years of age, and I have been in the lecturing, should I say, career profession for the last almost 18 years. And prior to that, I would have worked in industry for 27 odd years directly with large multinational organizations and one or two medium-sized companies. And what brought me across to academia? There was an overlap between my working career and academia when I had been asked to come in and lecture on the AIT's MBA program. So where did it all begin? For me, it started back in my hometown Clonmel in County Tipperary. Went to Waterford RTC, which is now WIT, of course. And that's where I did cost and management accountancy. So I would be not fully qualified, but almost got there. And so for a number of years in my career, I worked as an assistant accountant in the food industry, food processing industry, and in telecommunications and IT. And that's where I pretty much settled down, or having worked with Ericsson and Technoman and Meteor, mobile operator. So in the late 80s did my degree with DCU in information technology management. Up to that point I'd been working primarily in accountancy, and I moved across into software engineering, software development, into testing, hardware design, and then moved into project management and business management in later years in Technoman, and which is now called Technotree. And did my MBA with Oxford Brookes in 2002, and went on did my PhD with Middlesex University, and I got my professorship with Uni Nettuno University in Rome. And what else can I say to you? Primarily, a lot of experience. As I would say, I've been around the block a few times, and signs of it, and would hope to bring a lot of that experience into the classroom, into your respective modules over the next 12, 13, 14 weeks, whatever it takes. I know this is a bit of a challenging time with online, but for years I've been saying this is the way it will be going, and I'm relatively comfortable in this side of the camera at this stage. I'd want to be. And what else can I say to you? A lot of experience. We'll have a bit of fun, I would hope. Political correctness and me, no time for it at all. I curse and swear like a drunken sailor in a whorehouse. Not that I know many drunken sailors, or houses for that matter. And by the way, you will notice now that I do have a bit of a sense of humour, and you absolutely need it in these challenging times, to say the least. So listen, I hope that gives you a brief background as to who I am, and that we can start working now and getting through this. As I said, I'm here to help, and we'll get to the end of this, and hopefully we'll be graduating under normal circumstances in October of this year. Okay, folks, been a pleasure introducing myself. I hope if you have any questions, by all means, contact me on the usual email, or on my email, easiest way. And that's it, folks. Take it easy. Talk to you later. Bye bye. No more flashing lights, is there? No. Okay, that's good. Good. Well, what did you think of that? Not bad for a 60-year-old to have a fart. I just put that all together this morning anyway, just to because I'm using it multiple modules, so we'll get it out of the way, as we say. So, rules of engagement. Um, as I said, I don't record into Zoom. I record into. I'm using a system here called OBS, and I'm recording that because the quality is far better, to say the least. And I always have to post-process the recordings as well and edit out any crap that's of no consequence. And don't say edit out from start to finish because it's all crap. Anyway, it's not always the case. Where am I going with all of this now? I'm not holding you until 6 o'clock this evening. You must be freaking joking me. It's first day back for all of us, well, for me anyway. And sign of the times, I'm already tired. Jesus. Anyway, no, I should be more enthusiastic and embracing of this now. This is so I know we have multiple groups inside here, from the different programs. Um, there's a lot more to me than just that introductory video. As I said, it's been a long career, over 40 years in total. So yeah, there's a lot of water under the bloody bridge, and and I do a bit of sport. You'll be delighted to know that I'm not just from a business background. Jesus Christ. I have been known to kick a ball. I used to row. High diving was my sport when I was young. Springboard diving, and but now I'm one of these old farts to go out on the bike at the weekend. One of these mammals, and yeah, I try to get a couple of hundred kilometers in per week as such, and yeah, I enjoy it. But it's interesting because it's fascinating to see how the physiology has changed over the years, and I track everything on data with data. Strangely enough, the amount of stuff I collect when I go out cycling, everything is monitored, and yeah, it's and of course then I would watch diet and I'd see how the diet can affect performance and all this sort of stuff. Yeah, so it's and it's more than just a hobby. This is quite a serious exercise we do, and what else is there? I'll reveal more as time goes on. What was I going to say to you? I'm sure you're like myself. You want an easy life, yeah, and you can use the reactions or the emoticons down here to give me a thumbs up. Do you want a hard life or an easy life? Any brave souls looking for an easy life? I can't give myself an emoticon if I could. Yeah, I do. Yeah. Oh dear God, help me. So where am I now? Right, what I'm going to do is, oh yeah, I need to go into. I'll bring you into the. This is just my standard background scene and office and Ardmore studio, so to speak. So I'm going to bring you into where we will normally reside. Now we're back to where I would normally hang out for your lectures as such. And what I will do with you now, I assume we won't assume. You know what they say about assume, make an ass out of you and me. Firstly, I know you're all primarily from science backgrounds, and you're probably throwing your eyes up to heaven when you saw this module coming up. Oh, mother of Jesus. What in the name of God is this crap? Marketing and applied entrepreneurship. Do we have to learn this stuff? Oh, Jesus. Interestingly enough, every year you all have the same reaction. Trust me. And it's remarkable how by the end of it, you say, Jesus, this makes sense. Sometimes it clicks a little bit earlier. And oftentimes quite way through the module, and I said, okay, because well, if you think about it, um, you know, if you take any career related to your backgrounds, if you're into going into nutrition, you want to be a nutritionist. Now, I assume not everyone wants to work in the HSE, that you would probably work in private practices, hopefully someday set up your own business, whether it's into sports physiology, exercise, and so on. And trust me, these are huge markets. These are growing markets. The signs of it, when you have alphas like ourselves, I mean, I cycle with a group of alphas. We call ourselves les planqueurs, the plunkers. The youngest guys are in their 50s, midish 50s. And then you have a few of us in our 60s, a couple in their 70s, and a few in their 80s. There's one guy, he's 83, 84 years of age. That guy has cycled 11 Ross Taltons, and he's been on the winning team of 5 of them, I think. And he can still cycle. I tell you, you guys would be under pressure. I'm even under pressure trying to keep up with him. So why do I mention these things? Because, for example, there's a whole market in aged health. And particularly now, people are retiring, some retiring at 60, 65, although they have up the years, and I think I can keep going until I'm 70, apparently. But nevertheless, people are living longer and they're staying more active. The average lifespan in Ireland is, 82, 83 years of age, give or take. And most of the COVID people are dying are in their mid to late 80s. Kind of tells you something. But anyway, so yeah, there are markets. Now, even if you stand back and you decide that, okay, I want to be a nutritionist, and let's just take your younger generation, early 20s, as I said, yeah, and early 20s, give or take, and you want to set up something even in Instagram or YouTube or Discord or Twitter or Twitch or any of these platforms, you have to be able to treat it like a business. Your passion might be your sports physio, it might be nutrition, exercise physiology, all of this sort of stuff. The opportunities are phenomenal in this area. You could joining teams. One of my daughter's friends is she's a psychologist with Liverpool soccer club, and she has written manuals for the juniors, the academy players, and it was rolled out amongst a number of football clubs in the UK over the last few years. She's actually from Athlone. Well, I lived there for 30 odd years, and my 3 children were born there. None of them, well, one of them lives there still. Jeez, I'm trying to keep track of my kids. Yeah, one of them still lives there anyway. And but the point I'm making is that there are other careers. I have strong ties in the cycling sport, and there are people that travel around the world. You should see the setups these people have in terms of their nutritionists, physios, traveling all over the world as with these essentially what are private companies. So it isn't all about the public health sector. There's a lot of money and a lot of opportunity and specializations in the private side of things, and hopefully that's where you'll end up, somewhere in the private. I mean, that's where the real money is to be made. It's yesterday I went over to an orthopedic consultant, and I have a problem with my knee. And it transpires I have, according to my MRI, it's a complex tear of the anterior horn on the meniscus. Or is that how you say it? Yeah, the meniscus on the anterior horn, anyway, on the meniscus, the inside meniscus. And so next week I'm going for keyhole surgery on the thing. I was in the room with the guy, I'd say maybe 12 minutes. €200. Fuck, sorry. Jesus, minimum wage. Forget about it. Jesus Christ. Anyway, and he just wriggled my knee around and said, yeah, your knee is needs surgery. I mean, I could have told him that. I was walking down the stairs like a crab, for crying out loud, for the last few months. So yeah, it's so if you want to progress your careers, there are opportunities there, but specializations and so on. So why do we need to have this kind of module? But like anything else, this guy has a business. He's out there and he's works between the Hermitage and I think there's a place in Galway he works with, and also in um, the Vista Primary Care. He has a suite inside there in Naas, and I'm quite an observant person, and I miss nothing. And while I was there, just at reception, paying over reluctantly €200. Jesus hell. I was looking at the sheets that the receptionist was or administrator was handling, and she had at least 3 or 4 sheets with maybe 12 to 15 names on each sheet. And I said, Jesus, I'm definitely in the wrong business. But she's running it like a business. And, and that's what we're going to be looking at in terms of coming up who's your market, coming up with ideas. And I have to say, in the previous few years that I've been running this module for on these programs, some of the ideas have been absolutely cracking ideas. No, it's not a full business plan. Don't worry, I'm not going to put you to that torture. But it's just the marketing side of things we're going to look at. So who is your market? How do you find out what the market is? And what do you have to offer? And then we'll go through some of the steps on what I use as the business model canvas, which is like a roadmap or a set of processes or methodology, whatever you want to call it, on how to develop your business. It only helps you to think about things. What are my costs? How much am I spending on rent? How much is equipment? Should I buy the equipment, lease the equipment, and so on and so forth? Do I need to hire staff? How can I schedule business my appointments? How can I schedule my practice, and so on and so on? All of these kind of things that you wouldn't normally think about. All the other stuff that has to be done to run an effective business. And it was only a few years ago, for example, that the Veterinary Society of Ireland made it mandatory to have a business module on their veterinarian course, or whatever you want to call it. And there was 2 guys from Leitrim, I think. They said that when they set up their practice, they didn't realize how much was involved in setting up the business, and ended up taking night classes and all that sort of stuff on how to set up a business, develop a business plan, get funding, and all this sort of stuff. And they said they wish they had something like that at the time. Now, I'm not trying to justify my existence. It could be anyone else giving you this model. It doesn't matter a horse's ass. But the point is that it's an added set of skills you might use, you might actually use sooner than you think, or find yourself working in a practice, and it will at least help you to understand what's going on around you, why the practice is doing this, or how you want to have billable hours, for example, or and how to maximize your appointment list such that bottom line is it comes down to money. We all want to have an easy life in some respects. So that's what we're going to be going through. Right. As I said, I'm not keeping you on till 6 o'clock, so I need to move through some of this stuff. What am I going to do now? I'm going to open up Moodle. Okay, well, I'll open up Moodle and I'll talk you down through this. And here it is behind me. And there I am going down to the bottom left, out of the way. Oh, jeez, this is great. I had to learn all this from scratch, by the way. I wasn't able to do any of this exactly this time last year. I had a laptop with the stupid camera on the laptop, and that was it. Over time, I'll show you the rig up and setup that I put together from lockdown onwards. There was a reason why I got involved. I actually I was doing something on cycling with on Zwift. I don't know if any of you are into cycling at all, but I use Zwift for mostly for winter training and that. And it's an online, for all intents and purposes, a gaming platform. So I was following some guys on Zwift and listening to some people talking about bike technology, as they do, and I was interested as to how they were presenting the stuff. So I started to figure out and troll through, and I tell you, YouTube is a great help. It's phenomenal in terms of the information and knowledge you can pick up there. So I started working on this, and then I was invited on to the Coney Quick Step. We're having an online session for all intents and purposes. So there's Shane Archibald and Sam Bennett were hosting and taking part in this cycle, and they invited on a number of people. I think in total it was about 1,000 of us across the world, and we all ended up, once we logged in and so on, so we're all put into the Koenig Quick Steps cycling gear. So for the fun of it, I started to record it, and I was using one of these applications, and it only started as a bit of fun. So I had myself on one camera, the Zoom, the Zwift on another camera, and I had all the chat going on another. And I said, I wonder, could I use this for lecturing? This was long before, what, about 6 weeks before, a month before the COVID crap kicked in. And so I checked that out, and I started looking at what gamers were doing. Now, I'm quite sure there's a few of you inside there and like to get home in the evenings and sit down and just kick off with a few games and so on and so forth, follow some of these guys, Harris Hiller and all these other guys, Dr. Dre and all these head and Disrespect, I know, all these head cases that are serious gamers. So I started looking at what they were using, and setting up my own Discord channel, Twitch channels, and all this sort of stuff just to get to understand what was going on. So spent all summer. Contrary to popular belief, well, apart from half of being in lockdown, I still ended up working quite hard to get to grips with all of this technology and so on, to make it a little bit more presentable. And this is primarily the kind of outcome stuff you're seeing. And so yeah, using all that technology, learning from YouTube, watching what the gamers are doing, picking up on all the different types of technology to be able to present something that's somewhat, or at least a little bit different from the usual run-of-the-mill. And it all comes down to having a bit of fun as well. And so like yourselves, we're learning new stuff all the time. So on our Moodle, can you all see that? Is it clear enough for you, at least? Yep, okay, good stuff. And just give me thumbs up, just randomly, so I'm on track now. This is my Moodle page, okay, so you'll see some of this stuff here that's still hidden. I don't use these. I got rid of my blogs and things. They're probably still active. It doesn't matter, it's only bullshit. So, what do we have? God, right. Okay, we'll go down to the assessments first. We have essentially a couple of bits of assessment. We'll have a value proposition, which is essentially an idea that you and your team will come up with. Now, year one, I split the teams all over the place. Year two, I didn't. And I think this is year three with you guys. I think it is, yeah. Year three, I'm not going to split the teams all over the place. In other words, I'm going to have the teams made up from within each class, so to speak, because it can be a little bit, whatever about being able to meet up inside in the college for team meetings. Technically, you should be able to do it here, but I'm removing that constraint and just making life a little bit easier. So at least you're on the same timetables and you can find time to work on your propositions within your team inside your class. Now I have no break. I'll have to go on to the system after this and look at the breakdown of how many people are in the classes, but usually teams of 4 or 5 is what I pick, and I pick the teams. So, and for the sake of simplicity, don't become, can I go onto that team? She's my friend and he's my best friend and all that sort of stuff. There's a reason why I do this, and sometimes you will find yourselves going into organizations or into companies, and you won't know a sinner inside there. And it's really important that you're able to adapt and adjust and assimilate the environment as quickly as possible. And this is one of the ways I have. It's one of these less obvious teachings or learnings that I introduce is when I pick and mix teams, because you have to be able to survive essentially. And this is one way of doing it, because, and I'll explain why now when we look at these assessments. So the value proposition part, as I call it here, that's worth about 10%. So the team comes up with, and we usually come up with, the process is simple. Each team comes up with maybe 2 good ideas, and it means putting in a bit of effort, because the more effort you put in coming up with a reasonable idea, the easier the rest of it becomes. Okay. But we'll be going into these in more detail as we're going through the material. So then you have to produce a final marketing report. Again, don't panic. I'll be giving you examples and I'll be talking you through what you need to do to fill in each of the bits of the marketing report. Now, in here it says we have a pitch or a presentation. I have no freaking idea if we're going to be still around online or offline or wherever the hell we'll be in April. My gut feeling is probably not. It's hard to know. It's the next couple of weeks will give us a reasonable indicator as to how things are rolling out in terms of getting back into the college. I know there was some talks that we were going to try and have these what were known as value-added days for students to be able to come in where they'd have all their modules on one particular day, whatever day of the week it is, and at least mingle just for the one day. But obviously that got knocked on the head with this current lockdown from the gobshites that were piss-arsing around during the Christmas period. Nah. So anyway, yeah, we'll see. If we don't have the presentations, well then I'll just add the marks to the business or to the marketing report. So you won't lose out. And then I have two other elements which are called professional development part 1 and obviously a second one called part 2. And the first one is due reasonably soon. It's very, very simple. All I'm asking you to do is a few basic psychometric tests. You may have done some of them before. I honestly don't know. And I'm nearly going to say, and I don't care. No, I do actually. I always care. But you may have done personality type tests, for example, what's known as Myers-Briggs type indicator. And we all have personality types. We're all on the spectrum of personality types. Lord Jesus. Political correctness. And do not do the Galway gobshitery and start recording what I'm saying and put it up on freaking YouTube. Oh, Lord help us, what a pair of gobshites, the teachers and the students. Oh, help me. Anyway, where was I going? Jesus, dementia's kicking in already. I knew this had happened. Well, I didn't know because I couldn't remember that it was going to happen. Where am I? Oh, yeah. Yes, Myers-Briggs type personality tests. So there are 16 of these personalities, and we all fit into one of these. So, for example, some of us are introverted, some of us are extroverted. My own assessment, strangely enough, I'm actually an introvert. Probably raised a few eyebrows, but actually I am. How do I get around my introversion? I've just been demonstrating it for the last, how long I've been online here? 25 minutes or so. Humor. I use humor to get over my introversion. And that goes right back to my teenage years, because I was not only the youngest in my class, but I was probably the smallest as well. I don't know if you've ever rowed boats or 4s and 8s and so on, but I was the little person at the back, the cox, steering the boat and shouting the orders, because I was that was in my early years. But anyway, and to get myself out of scrapes, and we used to kick the shite out of each other in school. It was not as health and safety bullshit. I mean, we had some fun. And anyway, so yeah, if I couldn't run fast enough, I had to use humor. Until then, I did a bit of karate, then just to protect myself. Anyway, where am I going with all this? Yeah, so personality types. We have introversion and extroversion, and then you'd have sensitive and feeling, intuitive, and so on, so on. And so we both have. So if we stick with the one classification, for example, introversion, extroversion, certain situations we can be extroverted, and when we're with family and friends, we can relax and easy, and we speak our minds. And in strange situations or in new environments, we tend to be a little bit more introverted, and that's normal. And but as long as we know what we are, we can then do something about it. We can put in what psychology refer to it as interventions. So we can put up these coping mechanisms or interventions to get us over different situations and so on. So that's one of the tests that you do. And then there's another one, your learning style. Some people like to learn by just reading books. Other people like to want to watch videos only. Others like to see just diagrams and so on. So they're different. It's a VARC system, video, auditory. What's the other one? Jeez, I can't remember what the R stands for. And kinesthetic. So in all of these systems or definitions, we have our preferred styles depending on what it is. I mean, if you're trying to put a piece of furniture together from IKEA, you'd hardly sit down and read a text manual. The pictures help, usually. So different situations again, and of course, I also ask you to do followership style and leadership style and emotional intelligence. I think there's 4 or 5 tests inside there. Emotional intelligence is a big thing. And how switched on we are to our environment, other people, and so on. Really, really important stuff. And that's one of the disadvantages of being online. Now, I'm talking to you, I'm trying to keep focus on the camera, which is in front of me just there. And I'm looking at the screen here, and of course I can only fit about 20 odd people on one screen, and there are 69 people online, so I'd have to be scrolling over and back. So I'm trying to monitor your facial reactions only, as opposed to being in physical presence with you. I can see body language, facial reactions, and so on and so forth, an awful lot more. So I'd be picking up an awful lot more. But unfortunately, this is life. But we can compensate for it. So in terms of emotional intelligence, we'll talk about some of this stuff in more depth in due course. So we have these kind of tests that we come up now. If some of these tests comes back and, for example, and say, Mark, you're an introvert, you won't be 100% an introvert, nor will you be 100% extrovert. Let me put it this way. If you are, I'd seriously see a psychologist. Seriously. Better again, a psychiatrist. You're in serious deep shit if you measure yourself at 100% on any of these scales. Seriously. But we usually have what we say the dominant characteristics. So you might be maybe 45% introverted, the balance 55-65%, give or take. They would be the norms, extrovert, introvert, or the other way around. And the whole point about it is, and I mentioned there, sometimes we're introvert, sometimes we're extrovert. These are all dynamic. But we have a basic, so your dominant characteristic, if your dominant characteristic is 55% being extrovert, then it's 45% introvert. That's the dominant character. That's all it measures, just the dominance. But we can change. So all our behaviors and our attitudes are dynamic. They respond to different situations. And we even have models inside in work, whether or not, for example, situational leadership. How we respond and treat people in different situations, and we have different types of people in groups and teams, and how we have some people like to be kicked in the ass, other people like to be just spoken to nicely, and so on, and anywhere in between. So essentially, we have the psychometric tests will only give you a benchmark. That's all I'm asking for you. Just do the tests, get a result, and that's it. Nothing more. Not asking you to explain it or go into any, and you'll probably find, out of interest, you look up and find a personality type. It'll tell you what other types of people, what kind of careers are best suited to these personality types, and so on and so on. So it's worth looking at from that perspective alone. So that's all professional development part 1 is. And part 2 is a little bit more engaged. So I ask you to do give me a thumbs up if you've done any reflective reports. One. Only one person. Let me scan down through the pages. I have one person there. 2 pages. Yeah. Okay. All the people on my second page haven't got their cameras turned on. Okay, I'm getting a few people with reflective reports. It's a very powerful tool. I use it with, and I've been using it for many years, and I brought it into a number of modules because it's a very powerful, how to say, process for your own professional development. You can use it for your private development if you want to, whatever, but for professional development, and this is really what it looks like. What I use it for in this module is to get you to reflect on what you've just done in the module, in terms of the teamwork and how you actually managed different situations, how you coped with yourself, and just to talk a little bit in that area. It's not hugely difficult by any stretch of the imagination. It just takes a bit of time to write up. And what I expect you to do is take the results from your part one and say this was a personality type and this is how I've seen it. Now, even to this day, I still do some of these psychometric tests, just to stay sane. No, because personalities can change over time. Not a lot. However, there are exceptions to the rule. You could, a very traumatic event or witnessing something very traumatic can change your personalities. They're some of the very basics that can have a profound effect on your personality. And but generally speaking, we might see slight shifts in some of the dominance and lesser dominant attributes or characteristics. So that's on the person. So in other words, what we're going to be looking at is individual work, teamwork, and how all this makes sense to you and what it does for you in terms of understanding yourselves and understanding material, being able to adapt to different environments, what to watch out for, and how to benefit from and see opportunities, how to recognize opportunities that don't even exist. It's it happens, and all in the interest of helping you further down your careers. Okay, and that's what this module is fundamentally about. Any questions so far? If you want to type anything, just throw it into the chat box and ask a question. I don't mind. What else is inside here on the Moodle page? A few useful links. Business evaluation. Don't worry about the business evaluation. Thinking outside the box was just a competition Enterprise Ireland used run. That's old hat. Some other bits and pieces inside there. And this one down here, repeat assessment. Try and get it done the first time, will you? I don't want to be. You don't want to be spend the summer writing repeat shite assessments and stuff. So we will get it. We will get it right the first time. In fairness, everyone does. There's never been any issues. Now, structure and form. Everything is inside in this. All our class presentations are in there. Of course, I'll be using PowerPoint in this video over here. Instead of seeing Moodle, you'll be seeing my PowerPoint and controlling and all that sort of stuff. And of course, videos that I'll be playing on here and so on, so on. And it's all broken down now. Do not panic with all that material. Not all of it will be used, okay? That's why we're recording this information, and you can only go back and look at this and so on. Oh, okay, no, I'll come back to that in a second. So these are just all your lectures. This interesting one here, Art of War. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it's Sun Tzu. He was a Chinese general a couple of thousand years ago. And you say, what in the name of God's Jesus' sake has he got to do with this? Actually, quite a lot. Have you ever heard the expressions like know your own terrain, never fight an enemy on higher ground, and know your enemy, and all that sort of stuff? All those sayings, there's a whole plethora of these sayings. They're all coming from this head case, Sun Tzu. He was a military strategist. And that book is prescribed reading for and mandatory on some top-notch MBA programs, for example. It's all about business execution, So when you talk about know your terrain, know your market. Who are the other players inside there? And you have all sorts of business models and theories and concepts and crap to tell you. You know, you need to find out who your competitors are. If you're going to set up your physiotherapy shop in the arse end of Selbridge, I was going to ask, is anyone here from Selbridge? It's where I'm living. So anyway, if you're going to set up there's no point in setting it up next door to an existing physiotherapist, is it? It doesn't make sense. Or it might make sense if you're able to do something much different and cater for a different group of people or type of physiological issues, then it might make sense. So that's basically what we talk about when, you know your enemy, know your terrain, know the stuff, and who are the competitors, who else is in this space. Is the market big enough? Is it big enough to operate in Selbridge? Or do I need to go into Maynooth or across the Leixlip, or do I try and cover all three towns or villages, whatever you want to call them, and so on, so on. So that's the so it's worth a read. It's not. I put it up there because it's in these lockdown days. I'm sure you're getting bored. You'd just love to start reading stuff. That's something that might be worthwhile reading as such as well. Okay. And we'll do a little talk about leadership, and then we'd have the marketing stuff. I talked about the business model canvas. There's a whole range of videos, and they're all short videos, and some of them I will use and some of them will self-explain, or I'll use them to augment what I'm already talking about. I may already build them in. I mightn't use them on directly in our lecture, but I might add them to the video when I post process. So every time we record a video, or I'm recording the video here, I'll spend another hour or two editing it, and so on, getting it cleaned up and stuff like that. So all of this material is on site here, and marketing challenge. So there's not a lot in this. It's pretty straightforward. So that's the content. That's the roadmap of what you have to do in terms of the assessments, the kind of material we're going to be covering. And yeah, so I just showed you how I'm going to bore you for the next 12 weeks. I'm not going to bore you. Jeez. You'll be fine. Don't be worrying about these things. What I was going to say to you now, how are we done time-wise? 10 to 5. I did say I wasn't going to keep you till 6 o'clock, and I'm not. I'm going to finish up now very shortly. There will be, actually, we are back again. It's down my calendar. Thursday, yeah, and I think I mentioned this already. Thursday, we will meet up again this Thursday, but not every Thursday. What I will do with you is I will be giving you that hour, because I want to skive off. No, I don't. You can have that hour to have your team meetings. I'm not into this Zoom breakout meeting rooms and all that fuckwittery and dumb fuckery and stupidity and stuff like that. I mean, just set up your own WhatsApp groups and with your teams and have your meetings and so on. So you can use that. I may occasionally have pre-record videos for that session as such and upload them so as you can look at them later. Everything will be recorded and will be uploaded. Now where? Not onto Zoom. As I said, it's the technology is not good enough. Well, it's not good enough for me. Ooh. And that's what matters. Me and my own opinion. And no, well, there's problems. I've tried and I've sought counsel and advice and experts to try and say, well, how in the name of Jesus can I get the video to sync with the audio on Zoom? It might work if you're directly talking into Zoom, but no, I have a lot more going on than simple Zoom. But still, it should work, and we think the reason is because when you record to Zoom and under cloud, it's bouncing halfway around the world. They extract the audio file such that they can give you an audio file only, so people with poor vision, can listen to the audio. They also extract a transcript, so everything that's spoken is output onto a file. I don't know if you've seen these last year from other lectures or not, I don't know. So you can have an audio file, you can have pure video and audio, and so on. I think because the way they're processing that when they relink the files, it's causing a synchronization problem. I'm not 100% sure. It's not my job to find out anyway. So for that reason, I don't like using Zoom, and the quality is bad, and the quality of the videos themselves are quite low resolution. Everything I'm doing here is in high definition, which is fine, 720p and all that sort of stuff, or 1080p. So I record here and I upload them onto my YouTube channel. So I have a couple of channels up on YouTube. One that I have for yourselves. I'll just make myself a little bit bigger. So I have a playlist up there, and my channel is called Edulect 2020. Now, at the moment, you won't find it in there. What I will do is on Moodle, when I'm finished these types of lectures as such, I'll upload them to YouTube, and I'll copy and paste the link into the Moodle front page. Down here, I'll actually rename this. See this thing down here, topic 4. I'll just rename that to recorded lectures or something like that. And underneath this, you will have each lecture as they appear coming up there and tied back and so on. So that's why I use YouTube and so on and so forth. And you're saying, what the hell is Edulect 2020? It's my own brand. Marketing. Pure and simply. Where did I come up with the name? No freaking idea. I was sitting here one morning last spring, and I said, I might come up with a nice logo, and I developed a logo on my phone, and I modified it slightly, and I said, what'll I call this? Educational lecturing online. And that's a mouthful, so I just took a few letters out of each of them, and I said 2020. Obviously, last year was 2020, but also 2020 vision. Well, that's what people think about when they're coming up with slogans and logos and brands and why they mean what I mean. Nike's tick mark, tells you, everyone knows it. 3 stripes, Adidas, and so on and so on. Or is it 4 stripes? I can't remember. It doesn't matter. Anyway, so all these have a reason. That's why I use YouTube. It's far more efficient, and you can watch them anywhere as well. The quality of the videos are stored on YouTube are quite good. So, what are my stats saying? My stats are saying no drop frames, 0.1%. Yeah, okay, everything is fine. Right. What was I going to say? Where am I going now? Do you have any questions? Where is the one that I'm looking for now? Yeah, bear with me now a second. Don't go away just yet. And where am I? Trying to find something here. Where is it? Stingers. What's happening in my stingers? Yeah, but I think I have what I need anyway to get out of here. I'm just looking. Nothing. Nobody. Any questions at all? Nothing coming up on Messenger or anything like that. No questions. Happy enough with what you're hearing? Yeah. Okay. Good stuff. As I said, 7 minutes to go, and I'm going to be out of here before 5 o'clock. I don't actually hold you for 2 hours on Tuesdays either. I just go in, do what I want to do, and get the hell out. You'll be delighted to know. Although I wouldn't have the same challenge as I would have the previous years. Oh, I have to get the bus to Moat. Yeah, people just have to leave to get the bus and so on and so forth. So there's none of that now anyway. But in any case, it's I'm going to be shot for saying this. It's quality over quantity. So yeah, we'll just cover what we need to do and let you off then. So folks, if you have nothing else, if you have no questions, I'll treat you to my outro for ye guys only. Okay, and we'll see you then on Thursday. Okay, take it easy, folks. have it. There's a lot more to it than that, but we'll leave it at that one anyway. Okay, folks, take it easy. All right, we'll see you on Thursday. God bless.
Thank you.
Good luck.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.